Hi, this is Chris Reddick with Chris Reddick Financial Planning. In this blog post, I talk about 5 common pitfalls of an HSA or health savings account. You might already know that a health savings account is typically paired with a high deductible health plan. So that's what it has to be paired with. So you have a health savings account where you save up a certain amount of money every year. The IRS changes the amount with the inflation. And along with that, you have to have what's called a high deductible health plan. So it's a health care plan, but it's a higher deductible than you would have in like a typical PPO or HMO type of plan. So the deductible is much higher. And the idea is that you save in the HSA account and you cover your medical expenses as you go, and you have something catastrophic, the high deductible plan kicks in. But what are 5 common pitfalls of HSA accounts? In this blog post, I talk about this. Not knowing about these accounts. This is like pretty obvious, but a lot of employees, they just don't know about them. They're confused by them, and so forth. They don't know the rules. The rules are actually quite complicated in terms of the taxes and so forth. So just simply not knowing about them, and then not knowing if it really helps them and their needs, right? So you may think, well, I'm young, I need an HSA, but if you have a lot of medical expenses, if you're young, maybe that's not the best choice. Maybe the PPO plan would be better, the low deductible plan. The second thing is not reviewing HSA beneficiaries, right? So as in many investment accounts, you can assign a beneficiary. A lot of people don't even realize that you can do this, right? So for example, if your spouse inherits the HSA, the account retains its pre-tax status, right? However, if a non-spouse beneficiary inherits, the account would be distributed and the income would be taxable. So making sure there's beneficiaries and knowing where it's going to go in case you pass away. And the third thing is not funding or investing in HSAs. So this is a big one. There's a lot of people, they put the money in there, they just leave it in the savings account, and they don't actually invest it, so they don't go to the next step, right? And that, that's it's more difficult to determine what kind of investments you should use. So talk to a financial planner to kind of understand what's out there, risk tolerance, when you're going to need the money, and so forth. But I think that's a common area where HSA money is just not fully utilized, where it could be invested if you have enough to meet your current medical needs. Number 4 is when cash flow is sufficient to distribute funds from the HSA to cover medical expenses. So, a lot of times you can use the HSA for routine medical expenses. Some argue the opposite, that you should pay for that out of pocket, put the money in the HSA, invest some money and let it grow, and have that tax-free growth and tax-free distribution when you need it, perhaps when you have more health care in needs in retirement. So that's one area, something to think about, is you actually not using the money as much as pay more out of pocket. And the 5th is not understanding the tax consequences of an HSA account. This is a big one, in my opinion. Just not understanding it. They're actually very complicated accounts. There's a severe 20% penalty on distributions for non-qualified expenses. So say you just use the money for buying a new, iPhone, or just some example like that, or a smartphone. It's a 20% penalty on it's ordinary income, and then a 20% penalty. So it's a pretty hefty penalty. Okay, so on the distribution, because it's all pre-tax money. So if your ordinary income tax rate is 24%, it's 24% plus a 20% penalty. So that's pretty hefty. And second, there's a 6% penalty on over contributing to an account. So say go over the yearly maximum, so as an individual and family. If you go over, there's a 6% penalty on that. Also, if you are enrolled in Medicaid, you cannot have an HSA account. You can have one, but you cannot contribute towards one when you're on Medicare. Okay, so that's one thing people don't know about. So tax consequences are severe, and you should really know about them. So generally, HSAs are really complicated. Like honestly, they're very complicated, and you have to read the rules. You have to understand them. Partly because the tax benefits are just they're really great. It's like a triple tax advantage. You take a tax reduction on the way in, comes out tax free, gross tax free. That's a triple tax advantage. It's very. That's probably one of the only investment type of accounts what provides that triple tax advantage. So the IRS is like very serious about it, and then there's severe penalties if you don't go by the rules. All right, reach out to me if I can be of service to figure out if an HSA fits into your healthcare needs.